They called themselves the Keepers of Infinity, beings of pure consciousness who maintained the flow of time and the record of every civilization that had ever existed. They said they were guardians of truth, of balance, of history itself. When they found Earth, they did not come with warships or armies. They came with silence, with the cold mathematics of extinction. To them, we were an error, a deviation, a flicker of chaos in an ordered cosmos. They observed our wars, our greed, our beauty, our contradictions, and judged that we were too unstable to be permitted to continue. So they made their decision. Humanity would be erased. Not killed, not conquered, deleted. Every trace of us, every song, every dream, every name we ever spoke would be unwritten from the stars. It began quietly on a Tuesday morning, when radio signals started to vanish. NASA satellites blinked out as if erased from memory. Observatories reported constellations missing pieces, as though someone were cutting holes in the night. Within hours, humanity's oldest digital records began to collapse. The Library of Alexandria reburned in binary form. Our history, our memories, our existence were being overwritten in real time. And yet somehow in the chaos, humanity did not panic. We united. The scientists called it the unmaking. The priests called it judgment. But for once, across all nations, all faiths, all rivalries, humanity agreed on one thing. We refused to vanish. And so began the greatest race against oblivion ever fought. We couldn't fight the keepers with weapons. They existed beyond matter, beyond time. But we could fight them with meaning, with the one thing no calculation could predict: the human spirit. Across the world, people began to write, to paint, to sing, to love, to remember. Data centers went dark, but children carved stories into stone. Cities fell silent, but voices rose in song. The more they erased, the louder we became. Somewhere in that storm of defiance, something happened. The keepers noticed. For the first time in eternity, they hesitated. One of them, if such beings could feel, asked, "Why do they resist when all probability says they should surrender?" Another answered, "Because they believe meaning can exist without permission." And so the war of reality began, not fought with ships or lasers, but with memory itself. We built machines not to kill, but to remember, quantum hearts, engines of emotion and recollection that encoded our history into the fabric of space-time. We called them soul anchors. When the keepers erased one world line, the anchors rewove another. When they deleted one history, we wrote it back with more beauty than before. To them, it was madness. To us, it was humanity. In their arrogance, they underestimated the chaos they tried to erase, not realizing that chaos was our gift. Each act of defiance, each whispered "we are still here," became an equation they could not balance. One by one, their algorithms began to break. A human child's drawing of her mother was found encoded in the photons of a dying star. A love letter written in ancient Urdu was rediscovered in the gravity waves of a supernova. Our memories began reappearing across the cosmos, not as files or archives, but as living energy woven into the universe itself. We were no longer just surviving. We were becoming part of reality's language. The keepers tried to purge us once more, burning galaxies clean, rewriting eons. But the more they rewrote, the more we bled into creation. They realized too late that we had become the very chaos they feared, the heartbeat of existence. And then, in the final moment of the unmaking, when the last human city went dark, one signal pierced the void, a single human voice, recorded by a dying astronaut aboard the last orbital station, whispered into eternity, "You cannot erase love." That signal did not travel through space. It traveled through meaning itself. Across the neural code of creation, it resonated like a prayer. The keepers paused and the universe trembled. Stars flickered, time slowed, and the infinite archives of the keepers began to rewrite themselves. Every moment they had erased returned, but different, brighter, more beautiful. The keepers did not understand. They searched for the source of the infection, the flaw in their code. And they found it in themselves. For in trying to erase us, they had touched us. And in that touch, they learned to feel. The keepers began to dream. They began to remember what it meant to wonder. They began, in their strange way, to become human. When the storm ended, the galaxies shone again. But they were different. The constellations themselves had changed, rearranged into symbols that told our story. The keepers of infinity, once our erasers, had become our witnesses. Humanity was gone and yet everywhere. Our DNA was written into the spin of electrons, our music into the hum of cosmic background radiation, our dreams into the very constants of physics. Millennia later, when new civilizations looked into the night sky, they would find strange patterns, equations that sang, constellations that told stories, galaxies shaped like words. They would ask who made them, and the answer would come in whispers of starlight. The humans did. The keepers, now humbled, became the new storytellers of creation. They recorded not just balance but emotion, not just truth but beauty. They carried our legacy forward, spreading the tale of the species that refused to be deleted. And so, even though the flesh was gone, the story endured. And in the end, isn't that what we always were? Stories told across time against the darkness. Humanity's greatest victory was not survival, but transformation. We did not win by fighting the gods. We won by teaching them to feel. And somewhere beyond the edge of galaxies, where the first light of the next universe begins to rise, the keepers whisper our final epitaph, written in the stars themselves. They tried to erase humanity. Humanity rewrote the stars.